Everybody ready?
I'm ready as I'm gonna be.
Welcome back to Can You Not? Today we are missing one of our beloved stars again.
It's not me this time.
It's not Amber. She's not beloved. However, we do have my very good friend, Bryan Clark. He has
Hello.
co-directed several of my productions with me.
His name is spelled with a Y.
Yeah.
Bryan, in case you try to creepy search me or something.
Yeah, for all the new fans of Bryan Clark that are gonna come just pouring in from this podcast, make sure you spell his name right. Anyway, but yeah, Bryan is joining us today in place of Jesse, and before we begin, I just want to give a shout out to a gentleman named Matthew Krause. This is a couple weeks ago, but he made a really cool video reviewing our podcast and talking about how nice it was, and just it was all very positive. So if you want to check that out, if you look up Matthew Krause on YouTube and you look up Can You Not on his YouTube page, you'll see the review, and it's very positive, and we thank Matthew so much. So, who would like Amber, do you want to begin, or should I begin?
I can start. I haven't started for a while, I feel like. Do the timer, though.
Yes,
you can't forget about that.
This is true. I've forgotten many a time.
I'm a newbie.
Yes.
Bear with me.
Okay, so I was reading online today. I was reading the news, and one of the things that I found was that science now says that there are 4 different kinds of introversion, and I don't remember what all of them are, but they have to do with how you feel introverted. So there are people who feel introverted because they go in their heads a lot and they're imaginative, and there are people who feel introverted because they actually really don't like being near people and they want to be alone, and there are 4 of them. And I thought it was interesting because first we had facets of extroversion and introversion, and now we're faceting that like into these different kinds of introversion. And that kind of reminded me of how gender and sexuality are faceted. Like first we had, straight and gay and bi, and then we had all these different subgroups of, like, for bi there's pan, there's all this other stuff, and then there's like other things that are kind of separate, like asexual and demisexual,
Queer.
all the queer, and then you get into genders and there's just as many. Like it's dizzying how many facets there are of things. And I think it's kind of interesting how on one level I feel like it makes sense to facet things, because if you look at the introversion thing, it's because of like science says these are different things, but it's when you go to gender and sexuality, that's more of the people saying, well, you made this category and I feel like you need to narrow that category because I'm different from other people in this category. And I wonder if there's a point where once you start faceting things, you start doing it too much, because I don't know, it's I don't want to say like people decide, oh, well, I don't want to be like everybody else, so I need to make my own facet. Like mine is very minutely different from yours, so I need to make it different. So I was wondering how you felt about like do you think that the faceting of these subcategories is a good thing, or if it's negative, or?
I mean, it certainly seems like a very human thing, right? Like we just love our titles and our categories, right? Like we love sorting things into different things. We love having names for things, It's such like a human thing to want to say, this is how I define this, and I think that's kind of interesting for sure, as from a basic level. I don't know. I don't know if it's too far, because I guess anything where someone can define who they are clearer to other people, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If they want to say I'm this and this, and there's a general understanding, or at least a decently big understanding of what that means, then it's easier to kind of get a lot of, like if you just say I'm a boy, like that's such a vague sort of thing. But if you have like a whole sort of like set of descriptions in the way that you would like describe who you are, I feel like I think that's kind of more empowering almost.
Yeah, I was gonna say it helps with things like the stereotyping, like for somebody to just say I'm gay or I'm black or I'm this or that, it helps to be able to define yourself differently from everyone else in your category. Because once you just put that one label on yourself, then that opens it up for people to say, oh, so what goes along with being black, or what goes along with being bi or gay. I think people want to be set apart from that and know that they're their own person. So to categorize yourself as more than one more specific thing is helpful, but at the same time, there's almost this trend of wanting to be different, and people seek out being different so much that they get away from being who they really are. Like I remember in middle school when not saying that being gay is a cool thing to be, but people that clearly weren't homosexual saying that they were homosexual because of people that were coming up.
They saw it as a trend.
Yeah, as a trend or something. So for people that are actually homosexual to be able to define themselves as, oh, so I'm this type of a homosexual versus this, like that also helps.
Because I was always also thinking about it, like, on a functionality standpoint, it gets really, really complicated, too. Because I was doing a survey for a psychology class a year or two ago, and the survey itself was about religion. But in it, I had, like, what's your gender, what's your age, what's your income, like, just the demographic questions. And for functionality standpoint, I thought that I had, like, I really just needed a way to sort things. I needed a way to go, okay, well, most women think this way, most men think this way. And I got I got numerous answers that selected the other thing, the other option, and would fill in with these really long, like, I got a gender fluid, I got, like, a queer, non-cis male, like, I got all these things, and it was for functionality's sake. It made it really, really difficult because I wanted to count their response, but I didn't have a way to present their information. And when you go as far as documentation or like writing things down, I almost wonder if making so many categories and subcategories is almost working backwards, because you can say, like, I'm a pan-demisexual gray ace who is a gender fluid with male tendencies in a female's body, but, like, where do you start using the language against yourself? Nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It certainly makes it harder for things like censuses and stuff like that, because on one hand you want to respect how these people, are, and at the same time, like you said, it's handy to have some of those broad categories sometimes when you're doing, like, overarching things. So it is interesting. I mean, it's just such a tough thing because it is such a time of transition with that kind of idea. That's not something that obviously a lot of thought was put into on a wide basis, and now we're kind of seeing some solutions to those things, but not like big, massive, like the people who are, making maybe like non-gender restrooms or something like that. It's very far and it's very scattered. I just think as a whole, though, like, one of the things we have the most difficult time doing, and I include myself in this, is just remembering how unique a person is, or how,
like, despite labels. Like,
yeah, despite labels and stuff like that, because we're very easy at remembering the complexity of ourselves, and we say, well, people don't know this about me, people don't, and we wonder, oh man, they don't know that, I can't believe they wouldn't think that. But how often do we do the same thing, where we're limiting people to a title, or we're limiting people to, even if we're aware of it, we still do it sometimes, like we could be thinking, well, that person is more than just, I don't know, their job title, but you don't really think about, like, you don't think about the dreams they've had, or the things they want to do with their life.
Or the complexity that went into choosing what you choose.
Yeah.
I think one of the drawbacks from all these specific categories is if, like you said, not everybody's going to recognize all of those different parts of you. So, like, if I only identify with one of those things and I just recognize you as one of those things, then you get insulted for me not recognizing every single piece and bit of you.
Yeah.
So
maybe this almost came out of, like, people put so much stake in labels. Like, you call yourself gay and all of a sudden you're gay and it's in, like, big letters over the top of your head. So maybe
and you're
it's
not
like
just a person. You're a
so
gay
maybe
person.
it's turned into people, like, trying to take that label and turn it into something that they really feel like they fit under.
Yeah. I guess honestly, like, I think I think the best you can do in those kind of situations, if someone's faced with that, like, I feel like the best response you can give is to explain, this is how I want to be, instead of getting offended, because sometimes people just don't know. They don't know. They haven't heard of this term, like, just explain it in the sense of, like, hey, this is what and I guess it comes down to even just, like, coming up with a gender-neutral term for a person, too, is such a controversial thing, because there's no, like, one, you see they and them.
And they and them confuses people because it's plural.
Right, and then there's zir and them, and then, the you.
And then people are completely against it. I've talked to people who don't identify as male or female, and this person is really confused about why it is such a bad thing. And we refer to this as a they. So they don't understand, like, why it is so bad, and there's just all these intricacies.
Yeah. It's because there's no consensus. And how do you make a consensus? It's probably just going to happen slowly over time, like other things. It's probably not going to be like a council sits down and is like, this is the official way of talking about this particular set
even
of
if you
people.
did that, like, how language is such a
not
complicated
everybody's
thing.
I think the most important thing is to recognize yourself, and then that makes it easy. Like, if you know who you are and the different facets of you, then that makes it easier to recognize everyone else. So, like, I don't know. I think people should focus more on knowing themselves versus, like, having to put yourself in this category. Like, I know me because I'm me. Not I know me because of this or that part of me.
All right. I'm going to close that window real quick before we start mine.
Just closing the window. It's a super good time. It's pretty cool because it's been blowing on the back of my neck.
Sound effects.
My singing is so good.
More sound effects. As a wild Jesse approaches.
A while Jesse cries over writing a paper.
Yes, that's we did not mention that, but that is the reason Jesse cannot join us today.
Because finals week is brutal.
Yeah, technically, Amber and I are in finals week right now.
One more final to go.
But you know what?
As am I.
We make
two more finals to go.
Two more for Bryan too. So, we make the sacrifice for you listeners. We care about you that much.
That we would give up our passions of studying to come here and be with people we actually like.
My topic is our first listener submitted topic of the Can You Not podcast.
I'm excited.
This is someone who's been following my work for a little while. They go by the name Captain Chan. And first of all, they say, because I did a video about being thankful for things. They said, I'm thankful for your podcast. I've been looking for a new one to listen to. I don't always agree with your point of view, but that's what's great about hearing what other people think. My suggestion for a topic, the flat earth theory. A quick YouTube search will result in dozens of videos which support this, parentheses, interesting theory. So,
Flat earth.
any opinions on the flat earth theory?
Are you talking about literally the earth is flat?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what they're talking about, like, because there are...
You didn't look it up?
I've read about this before. It's very interesting. Yeah, there's a subset of people that firmly still believe that the earth is flat, and any sort of science, any sort of pictures is all made up. They say it's or at least almost entirely flat. I think the idea is that because it's slightly curved, that creates the effect that you always see with horizons and stuff like that. And somehow it's very convoluted.
The look of horror on my face doesn't really go through the microphone, but
I'm just confused.
we've known that the earth is round literally forever. Like, people say, oh, Columbus sailed around the earth to prove that it was... No, he didn't. We've known that the earth was round, like, since Socrates, because all you have to do is look at the horizon, and since you can't see... like everything since you like moving forward makes things that are further along the earth apparent, like, and the city can like rise up out of the desert as you move towards it. Like, the earth is round. What
Well, also, like, even the fact that apparently even back then, like, only the very most uneducated would have believed that at all. It was not a widespread theory at all that the earth is flat, even back in the day. Like, why do people believe things that are so obvious? Like,
They're stuck in one mindset. It's almost like the idea of like being super duper racist. Like you believe one thing for so long, how can someone tell you that it's not true?
Right.
Maybe it's the conspiracy theory people. It's probably the same people who think the moon landing was fake. It's like science is a lie and like the government makes everything
it's all
up.
fake.
But if the Earth is flat, does that mean the moon is flat as well? It's just like a cut out circle cookie.
Can you see the moon though? It's round.
But why do you never see the other side of the moon? It's because it's flat.
Because it's in orbit. This hurts me deeply. I mean, I guess you're allowed to doubt everything anybody has ever told you if you want, but I'm curious to know what these people believe in, because I want to know what sources
outside of flat Earth, what are your other beliefs?
What are your hobbies?
What do you do for a living?
Oh my god!
Please tell me you don't work for NASA.
Oh, please don't work for NASA. I don't understand. I really don't. Like, lots of stuff.
Well, according to this one website, there's actually a Flat Earth Society. Its ranks have grown by 200 people, mostly Americans and Britons, per year since 2009. So it's growing. So it's not growing very much, but it is growing, the number of people. They have a website. Maybe we should check that out and get a feel for it. Yeah.
Have you ever been in an airplane? You can see, like, it's right there. That's how gravity works. Gravity pulls things together in circles.
Yeah, but what if gravity's
This is more proof that the world is, like, huge, too. Like, the fact that there is a group of people that still believe, like, how many are there?
Okay, so here's what they say. The evidence for a flat Earth is derived from many different facets of science and philosophy. The simplest is by relying on one's own senses to discern the true nature of the world around us. The world looks flat. The bottoms of clouds are flat. The movement of the sun. These are all examples of your senses.
The movement of the sun?
Goes like
the sun doesn't move! If the world's flat, what makes day?
I keep forgetting this is a podcast. They can't see my arm moving.
Your arm goes. That's okay. I half the time I call them viewers instead of listeners. I totally forget. Perhaps the best example of flat Earth proof is the Bedford Level experiment. In short, this was an experiment performed many times on a 6-mile stretch of water that proved the surface of the water to be flat.
That doesn't mean the surface of the Earth is flat.
Plus, they don't
Your floor's flat too. Oh, the Earth is flat. Whoa!
Look at this table. Flat.
It's flat. It's undeniable proof. Open your eyes, sheeple.
I like how they don't exactly say how this experiment was done. They don't know. There was an experiment.
They don't know science. Oh my god.
Also, like, we shouldn't trust our. How often are our senses wrong? If we see like a mysterious figure in while we're in bed and we're like, oh, and then we turn on the light and it turns out that it was
shadows that I saw on the wall this morning, like I was telling you earlier.
Yeah, Amber saw shadows on the wall this morning. Does that mean a shadow person was there?
It means that my roommate was awake at 6 a.m. Just kidding. That didn't happen.
Shout out to James.
He's not listening.
He's not listening.
He's a loser.
Yeah.
Oh, but not as much of a loser as
flat Earth people.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this water thing too. Water naturally goes downhill. Like every river goes downhill because gravity makes rivers happen. So like maybe it was like a very smooth expanse and like the water naturally falls to the lowest point at that one place. So you figure it's a gradient. It's going downhill and of course it's flat, but it's at a diagonal.
So do these people like not believe in like hills and mountains?
Mountains do not exist.
Mountains aren't real. They lied to you.
Welcome to Nightville over here.
Do they explain like how night and day work with a flat Earth?
Here's some other things that they have. People have been into space. How have they not discovered that the Earth is flat? Here's their question. And here's their answer. The most commonly accepted explanation of this is that the space agencies of the world are involved in a conspiracy, faking space travel and exploration. So their explanation is they've been faking space travel all along, therefore.
Oh man,
but
I
hold
was
on.
right. The moon landing deniers.
But they have it. But they say it's not all bad because they say, please note, we are not suggesting that space agencies are aware that the Earth is flat. They just depict the Earth as being round simply because this is what they expect it to be.
What does that mean? Like, what does that even mean?
So what are they hiding though? Like outside of the world being flat, like
And what would
is there something else on the other side of this sheet of paper that we call the Earth that they're hiding?
Well, I'm just trying to think how this would work. And like the reason that things are round, that like bodies in space are round, is because of how gravity works. So like if this is flat, then I don't understand how anything works anymore.
Well, here's an answer to your question. How do you explain day and night cycles?
Oh, there we go.
Day and night cycles are easily explained on a flat Earth. The sun moves in circles around the North Pole. When it's over your head,
Where's the North Pole though?
It's just at the top of this disc.
There's no top. There's no top.
It's just in the
There's
middle.
no top. It's
Or
flat.
bottom.
It's just in the middle of this disc, I guess.
So we're a big Earth disc, and in the
Yes.
center of the
Well, our
disc.
Yeah,
cartoons,
we're a vinyl record.
All cartoons, it's two-dimensional.
Okay, so the North Pole
Someone's
is the center of the
watching us on
record.
TV.
Yeah, the sun moves in circles around the North Pole. When it's over
Like, do you how like
yeah. So they're saying
parallel to the record?
Yeah, so they're saying when it's over your head, it's day. When it's over, like, Australia, it's just on the opposite side of the
No, but
disc.
if it's flat, we'd be able to see the sun over there.
I've decided that God just watches us on his flat screen TV. That's what it is. That's what it is. He projects us on his wall called the Earth, and he just watches.
This is deep.
It's just so far. Why doesn't gravity pull the Earth into a spherical shape? The Earth isn't pulled into a sphere because the force known as gravity doesn't exist. Or at least, the Earth is constantly accelerating up at a rate of 32 feet per second. So we're just on a disc constantly rising up.
Faster and faster and fast. That
So how do they explain those
no.
roller coasters that spin around and pull you to the outside?
That's a really good point.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point. I'm really upset with these people. I'm so angry.
Watch in 600.
No, but I feel like
In 600 years, someone's gonna listen to this podcast and like, wow, they scoffed at the idea of flat Earth back then. Listen to these ancient primitive people. I think about it.
yeah, the people of the future listen to Poji Joe podcast.
Let's be honest. No one's gonna be listening to this in 5 months, let alone 500 years.
Maybe I'll be listening to it. We can like look back.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
20 years from now.
time's up.
I'm really glad. I'm done with flat Earth.
I'm disappointed. I wanted to read more of this.
Maybe next
but
time.
thank you to Captain Chan for suggesting that topic.
That broke my heart. I'm injured.
Amber's science brain was like, newbie.
Newbie
Your
topic.
turn.
All right, get me timered up.
All right.
All right. I'm
Even
ready.
he remembered. How long
Yeah,
have you
I-
been doing this for?
This is our 9th episode, and I still don't remember this.
Oh, Joe.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So I want to discuss the idea of anonymous social networking. A lot of college students would know about the app
Yik Yak.
Yak.
They were on
yes.
campus the other day.
Yeah.
I have Yik Yak socks now.
Yes. I am new to Yik Yak as of probably like 3 weeks ago. I've had some good experiences and some terrible ones. At first, it was very interesting to me, just the idea of not having followers, like people that seek out your opinion specifically, but just to look there and see the opinions of everyone in your area, and they go to your school or wherever like you are stationed at that point in time, usually on a college campus, but just the idea of not having to put a face to the words, like just an idea floating out there, and to comment on it or like it, but obviously there's some downside to that, people being able to say whatever they want and have no consequences. But what do you guys think about it?
I think part of it's really interesting. Just really quick, so everybody knows what Yik Yak is it's kind of like a GPS-based Twitter, GPS-based anonymous Twitter. Anybody can post anything they want. You don't have a screen name. and you can just kind of post whatever you want, and if you're within a certain like distance from whoever posts it, you can see it, so you have to like have your GPS on your phone. And I think part of it's kind of interesting because that means that ideas rise to the top instead of people. So it's like this one thought or this one joke that I had that was really, really funny can kind of come to the top of the pile, and it's hilarious because what it actually says is funny and not because the person who said it's popular. But at the same time, there's so much garbage on Yik Yak.
Yeah.
Especially being on college campuses, like you just see some of the dumbest stuff.
Yeah. Ignorance. The ignorance is what surprised me, especially being on a college campus. Like, for those of you listeners that do not know, I am an African American male, and I've seen some pretty racist stuff on Yik Yak. Several people made a post about African American women being beautiful, and it got off-voted, which is when you downvote something until it just...
If you get 6 downvotes, it gets deleted.
Yeah, it gets deleted, and people were saying racist things. You can imagine all the terrible things that were said. And then someone made a response saying how, wow, you guys will off-vote something about black women being beautiful in 5 seconds, but... say something racist and it gets 20 upvotes and it's the most popular yak of the day or whatever. And those people probably wouldn't say the same thing if they were on Twitter and their black followers were right there. Or those same people who insult a gay person say, oh yeah, that's gay. But then on the flip side, there are those people that are like, oh yeah, that girl over there in the green sweatshirt's hot, and the girl or so and so across the way is really ugly. Like,
yeah. Well, that's kind of the dangerous freedom of it, though, right? Like, I think that's why it appeals to so many people. I tried Yik Yak for like a week. I thought the quality of the content, was so low. I just deleted it. I was like, this is like even outside of racism, just a lot of sexism too.
Yeah,
like, just
that's what I was
gross.
yeah.
Like, I would bang that girl over there by the bank, and I'd be like,
right.
What?
It's also kind of it's really, I don't know. I still have one, and I'd get on it when I was like bored in physics lecture or something, you know. And I just scroll through, and there's a lot of. It's sad. People are like, I'm so lonely. People are like, I haven't had a relationship in years. Or like my favorite one is, does any girl want to go out? I'll buy you lunch. Oh, like right. Please go out with me. And it's
I don't care what you are. Like,
I haven't seen the go out, but who wants to do it now?
Yeah, meet me in the restroom, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, I've seen maybe not so much in at the college we're at, but at the community college, like it was a lot of people would be like, I will take any girl to Steak and Shake. Yeah. Please meet up with me. I want to have a conversation with someone. And it's like you are so desperate to meet with somebody that you will take an anonymous person, but you won't walk up to somebody who you think is interesting and ask them if they want to eat with you.
Well, I really love. One thing I do love about the internet as a whole is the potential to be anonymous, and I think that's a really powerful thing because, like you said, people who don't want to be upfront about their identity or want to conceal it in some way can still be open. But then this is I don't know. I see more of the negative side of being an anonymous person on the internet on Yik Yak.
It has so much potential too. Like
because like Amber said about the ideas and stuff.
Yeah,
like
that kid in high school who had no friends versus the popular jock. And the jock posts something stupid like, yeah, I've got some beers and...
and everybody's like, you're dumb.
Right. Let's upvote that. He's awesome. Where the kid that was popular, he's unheard, but on Yik Yak, he has a voice. He posts something. Everyone who's around you may actually be thinking the same thing. And you get those upvotes, and that may raise your self-esteem, but then you get that yak about you. That's insulting. Like,
what a yak about you.
Oh no.
But yeah, I think that's kind of what we strive for on all social media, though, right? Like we're constantly looking for that extra like and that extra share and that extra, because it means something so deeply to us in a way. Like it's like an affirmation of like, yeah, I'm a funny person, or like if we post a picture of ourselves at a party, like, I'm a cool and lively person with a great life. You know, it's like something affirming about it that is really like, it's addictive in a sense.
And Yik Yak kind of pulls that out from under you a little bit. So a lot of college campuses are actually looking to ban Yik Yak. Like I've seen a bunch of stuff about it.
I've seen that.
But
too.
I I saw a bunch of stuff about how do you even do that, like because you'd have to.
That's a good point.
It's an app that uses
and it's
the internet.
Anonymous.
Yeah, so there's no, and what are the administrators gonna do? Sit on Yik Yak all day, like refreshing and downvoting everything?
Probably see a bunch of stuff about them on there,
right?
Because some of them like some of these teachers log on and like have like seen terrible things
that's
about
like,
themselves.
In my girlfriend's class, actually, I'm sitting outside of her class.
Shout out to your girlfriend.
Shout out to my girlfriend, Shelby.
Out.
Hey, who's sitting in the chair?
Yes,
like
our live studio
so
audience.
Literal shout out. Literal shout out.
But like they were talking about a girl in her class was like smarter than the teacher, and I'm seeing all these yaks about her class. Some of them are funny, but like for the faculty member or even for the school, it just is a bad image at times.
Yeah.
But like just the potential of it and how it's just being used.
Well, it's very telling that it's been most successful in college campuses, right? Like, that's obviously their target, even to the fact that, like you said, they were handing out, like, Jack socks.
This is the second time they've been to our campus, like, handing out merchandise and stuff. And Yik Yak can be hilarious, like, and I think banning it, I don't agree with that. I don't know, especially maybe for high schools, that's a thing to consider because that's different.
I don't think that's a place for
there's a freedom of speech kind of idea.
But especially, I think even as far as like the internet goes and the right to be anonymous online, like as soon as you take away, like people do terrible things anonymously, but as soon as you take away people's right to say what the freedom of speech aspect of the internet, you take something really vital away because once you start regulating that, everything starts becoming regulated. And then anonymous, you can't say terrible things anonymously now, but what about what you're saying when you're not anonymous? What about when people, you know what
Twitter,
I mean? Yeah, I think
Snapchat.
So I don't think Yik Yak is necessarily like some glorious thing that descended from the heavens upon college campuses, but it's cool to me that we're still an open enough society that this is a thing that can exist and that it's not censored.
I mean, one of the complaints that Google got when they launched Google Plus, amongst many complaints about Google Plus, is that there was no way to adapt your anonymity in any way. Like, at least with Facebook, you can get, like, a nickname and stuff like that for some of these things. You know, like, and even they are kind of strict about that kind of stuff. But, like, there was no way to do any of that.
You can't
on Google
separate
Plus.
stuff.
Yeah, you can't separate it. And so everything you would log in with your Google account and stuff would be your name, you know, which people didn't obviously like, where it was easier. Your YouTube account was something that you could use instead. And of course you could make your YouTube name whatever you wanted to, but then they kind of took that away when they linked everything to the Google Plus accounts.
Yeah, because at least with Facebook, when you hook something up, that's all you do. You hook it up. Like, that doesn't mean that that's your screen name on the website or anything.
Right. Yeah, and I guess they've actually removed YouTube and Google Plus linked together because it only took them 3 or 4 years or whatever after people complaining. Yeah. Because that's about the rate that Google fixes any of the complaints that they get about YouTube.
But I don't know. It's interesting, and I don't know. I like sitting on it, but
yeah, I enjoy it.
I don't know. Most of the time, though, if we're being honest, it just makes me so sad. Because it is usually just people, I feel like, maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, maybe it's not as serious as I'm thinking about it, but just people like, please go out with me, please do something with me, please, oh my god, I need friends, please. Like, that's most of, like, what I see on there, and it's so depressing.
Yep. If we could, before we summarize what we have learned today, we could give where we can find us on social media. Can find me on Twitter at Pogie, Pogie _Joe.
At Ambajay. It's at AMBAHJAY.
You don't have to give Twitter if you have another. Okay. If you have anything at all.
You can give out your phone number if you want. Call me.
Brian's social security number.
Right. My Twitter is bclark607. So, yep.
And you can also find this podcast on iTunes if you search "Can You Not?" under podcasts. And you can also find us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/CYN podcast. What did we learn today, Amber?
Oh, I usually have something so clever to say.
I know. You usually are witty, or witticism.
Oh, man. Faceted things make faceted thoughts, and now I don't have anything concise to say.
Also, what
flat Earth.
Okay, this is the second time
It
this
was
happened. Yeah. I learned that no matter how much science we can prove, there's always going to be people who reject it and who are going to come up with their own insanity.
We're gonna break my heart.
There's always people who are going to break Amber's heart.
And I have learned that the internet is a wonderfully horrible place to be anonymous and not anonymous at the same time.
This is true.
Can I push my plug real fast?
Yes.
Okay, so my dad is doing a Ride to Remember. It's this bike ride, and all the money he raises will benefit Alzheimer's research. He has to raise $500 in order to be able to do this bike ride, and all 500 of those $500 will be going straight to research. He doesn't get any of it. Joe will be nice and put a link down in the description, and if you have like $1 laying around and you want to throw it at my dad, we appreciate it a lot.
Heck, if you have $2.
If you have like
Matter of fact, 3.
any dollars that you choose to part with, you should part with for this good cause.
In this direction.
Yes.
Yeah, they do not accept Bitcoin, I'm afraid. But, Brian, we always end each podcast by saying, can you not?
Okay. Can you not?
Can the flat earth people please not?